A meeting of titans, Trump and Carney face off. The Oval Office was the setting for a high-stakes meeting between two powerful leaders. On one side stood Donald Trump, the unpredictable and often combative President of the United States. On the other sat Mark Carney, the steady and respected Prime Minister of Canada. The date was May the 6th, 2025, and the air crackled with tension. The two men were meeting to discuss the increasingly fraught economic relationship between their two nations. Trade tensions were high, tariffs were a point of contention, and the very notion of national sovereignty hung in the balance. The meeting was the culmination of months of escalating rhetoric and policy disputes. Trump, true to form, had taken to social media to berate Canada's trade practices, accusing the country of taking advantage of the United States. Carney, for his part, had responded with measured diplomacy, but made it clear that Canada would not be bullied. The stakes were high for both countries. The United States and Canada share the world's largest trading relationship, and any disruption to that relationship would have significant economic consequences for both sides. Beyond the immediate economic concerns, the meeting also had broader symbolic importance. The United States and Canada have long enjoyed a close and cooperative relationship. The two countries are not just neighbors, but also allies and partners on the world stage. However, Trump's presidency had put a strain on that relationship. His America First agenda and his willingness to challenge long-standing norms had created uncertainty and anxiety in Ottawa. As the two leaders sat down for their meeting, the world watched with bated breath. The outcome of their discussions would have far-reaching implications, not just for the United States and Canada, but for the future of North American relations and the global order. The meeting was a reminder that even in an increasingly interconnected world, the relationship between nation-states remains paramount. It was against this backdrop of high stakes and heightened tensions that the meeting between Trump and Carney began. The audacious proposition, Canada as the 51st state? The meeting began cordially enough with the usual pleasantries exchanged. However, the tone quickly shifted as Trump, known for his unconventional negotiating tactics, laid out a proposal that sent shockwaves through the room and beyond. He suggested that Canada consider becoming the 51st state of the United States. The idea, delivered with Trump's characteristic blend of bravado and self-assurance, was met with stunned silence from the Canadian delegation. Trump went on to outline the supposed benefits of such a union, painting a picture of economic prosperity and seamless integration. He spoke of eliminating the border, erasing trade barriers, and creating a North American powerhouse. He argued that Canada would benefit from lower taxes, reduced regulations, and access to the vast American market. He even went so far as to suggest that Canada's social programs, such as universal healthcare, could be preserved under this new arrangement. The proposal, while presented with an air of seriousness, was widely seen as a calculated power play designed to unsettle his Canadian counterpart. It played on existing anxieties about American dominance and tapped into long-standing fears of annexation. By floating this seemingly outlandish idea, Trump effectively shifted the conversation away from specific trade disputes and onto the broader question of Canada's place in the world. The audacity of the proposal was breathtaking. Even for a president known for his unorthodox pronouncements, it revealed a fundamental misunderstanding of Canadian identity and a disregard for the country's long and proud history as an independent nation. The reaction from Ottawa was swift and unequivocal. The Canadian government issued a statement categorically rejecting the proposal, affirming Canada's commitment to its sovereignty and its own unique path. Carney's resounding rebuke, sovereignty is not for sale. Carney, though visibly taken aback by the sheer audacity of the proposal, quickly regained his composure. In a calm but firm voice, he delivered a point-by-point rebuttal that left no room for misinterpretation. He began by expressing his disappointment at the suggestion, emphasizing that Canada's sovereignty was not a bargaining chip to be used in trade negotiations. He reminded Trump that Canada had politely but firmly declined similar overtures in the past, referencing historical attempts to entice Canada into the American fold. He went on to highlight the strength and resilience of Canadian identity, rooted in its own unique history, culture, and values. He spoke of Canada's commitment to multilateralism, its role as a peacekeeping nation, and its embrace of diversity values that often stood in stark contrast to those espoused by the Trump administration. He emphasized that while Canada valued its relationship with the United States, it would never compromise its independence or its core principles for the sake of economic expediency. Carney's response was not simply a rejection of Trump's proposal. It was a full-throated defense of Canadian sovereignty and a declaration of the country's determination to chart its own course. He concluded his remarks with a powerful analogy, stating that some things are simply not for sale, implying that Canada's independence was one of them. His words resonated not just in the halls of power, but also with ordinary Canadians across the country. The clarity and conviction of Carney's response drew praise from across the political spectrum in Canada and garnered international attention. It served as a reminder that while Canada and the United States share a long and complex history, their relationship is ultimately one between two sovereign nations, each with its own distinct identity and aspirations. Carney's refusal to even entertain the possibility of annexation underscored the enduring strength of Canadian nationalism and set the stage for the difficult discussions that were to follow. A trade between the United States and Canada has always been a cornerstone of their relationship. However, in recent years, tariffs and trade policies have introduced a level of uncertainty. These changes have impacted businesses on both sides of the border, causing some to rethink their strategies. Despite these challenges, both nations continue to seek common ground, striving for a balance that benefits their economies and maintains their long-standing partnership. The relationship between the United States and Canada has faced its fair share of challenges. Economic disputes, political differences, and environmental concerns have all tested the strength of their bond. Yet both nations have always found a way to navigate through these turbulent waters, striving to maintain a partnership that benefits both sides. Despite the challenges, the ties between the United States and Canada remain strong. Shared values, mutual respect, and a long history of cooperation continue to underpin their relationship. From trade agreements to cultural exchanges, these enduring connections highlight the resilience and depth of their partnership. On the global stage, the United States and Canada are often seen as pillars of stability and prosperity in North America. Their collaborative efforts in international forums, peacekeeping missions, and global initiatives showcase their commitment to fostering a better world. Together, they set an example of how neighboring countries can work together for the greater good. As we look to the future, the United States and Canada must continue to adapt to an ever-changing world. Emerging technologies, evolving economic landscapes, and new geopolitical challenges will shape their path forward. By embracing innovation and maintaining open lines of communication, both nations can ensure that their relationship remains strong and mutually beneficial for generations to come.